Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Tony from Bellevue Christian. I'm one of the high school teachers there. Long time no talk, huh? So I want to open up with John chapter 11, one of my favorite books in the entire Bible. Talks about a story between Mary, the protagonists here are Mary, Martha, Jesus. Okay, Lazarus is that kind of like that secondary person, but the story is revolving around these three characters. And we'll start off with John chapter 11. We'll start with verse 17 and we'll read till 27. I want you to get this here. Now, when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus, so again, the backstory here is that Lazarus has already died. Mary and Martha are pretty bummed out about their brother's death. Verse 17, now when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had been dead in the tomb for 4 days. Okay. Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. So that community aspect, they came to Mary and Martha for comfort. Verse 20, so when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, and get this, this is kind of funny, but it's so real. Get this. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him. I feel like there's this sassy Martha about to get up, about to tell Jesus a couple of words of how she felt. But Mary remained seated in the house. Mary has always been that person who has held things together, who has put things in her heart and kind of kept it there. She seems like she is very calm. Again, with how we're reading this story, right? And Martha said a couple of the things that she felt in her heart. And sometimes we can be like this. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you. And Jesus said, you know what? You're right. Your brother will rise again. And this is what I want you to get. Martha said, and Martha's response kind of sounded like this religious type of like, oh, I know it's going to happen. It can kind of be like us where we stay in this stagnant feel of Christ and what he can do, right? So verse 24, get this. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. And here we can kind of tell Martha knows the Bible. Martha knows her faith. She does. And that could be many of us here. We can know our faith and we know, we can come to this response of if I'm sick, oh, you know what? I'm going to die one day and cancer's going to be free from me. Although those things are true, I think what Jesus is trying to get at in Martha's heart is that, yes, you know me as healer or you know healing, but I want you to know that present healing can also come about. And I think that's what this passage, or at least this type of story here, why Jesus kind of stayed a couple of days in the previous city, and not just to test their faith, but to also have them know that their faith is still active and breathing. A lot of us can stay in the stagnant waters of, one day, I'm going to die and I'm no longer going to have arthritis. Or one day, I'm just going to experience the fullness of Christ in seeing him face to face. Well, I think what Jesus is trying to share with us this morning and in this passage, and to all of the believers in thousands of years, is that faith is not just something that we see in the future, not just a hope that we experience in the future, but it's also something that is present. Knowing Christ as healer, present is what Jesus wants you to experience. His fullness is present in this time is what he wants to say. Have a great morning, everyone, and you guys have a great week. Us teachers, we are finishing to wrap up the school year. It has been a wonderful time. I love all my students. I miss them so much. You have no idea. And so I just ask you, friends, to pray for us teachers as we are wrapping up this year. And I'll see you next week. Have a good day.